31. And when that delta starts getting wide like that, that's starting to tell me that we're starting to creep up. And Woody and I had a discussion yesterday because I follow DOMs real closely, and he was giving me some other matrix to follow. One in particular is the seller concession. So it's starting to creep back up. I've always felt in our jurisdiction, in our area, in our footprint, when we start hitting the 45, 55, 60 days, that's kind of when the official pendulum is going to swing over. So we're starting to get there a little bit. And I also think, and Nikki, chime in if with your conversations with your agents, I did also 2 listing presentations this weekend. Yona, please come home.
Man, you've been on fire, Keith. You've been on fire.
I got a list from Mrs. Smith, to be fair.
I love it.
To be fair. But it was very interesting. Both conversations with these listing appointments were, we understand the market's not the same as it was 6 months ago. So what's your advice on the market?
Come out priced correctly.
And I think 6 months ago or 3 months ago, that may not have been that conversation. So I think the understanding of the market is starting to shift a little bit. Nikki, what do you think?
I think the whole 30 days on market aspect is just still not even back to normal. So, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a needed thing. We've all been talking for 2 years about how the last 2.5 years has not been anything that is explainable other than COVID life, right? That this is not a thing we would have seen had that not happened. And for the good, bad, and the ugly that has come from that, really, we're getting back.
Nothing like a good Western
good,
reference.
Bad, and the ugly, yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, 30 days on the market compared to the last 2.5 years, that seems honestly kind of crazy. It's like, oh my God, it's been on there for forever. But really, that's not even back to normal yet, right?
So I just pulled up Albemarle County active.
Yeah.
Right, just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
No new construction, just see what's in there. Median days on market on the actives is 45.
Okay.
Average is 96.
Okay.
Now that's all price ranges.
Yep.
That's ranging from $171,000 all the way to hold on a second here, 45 million. Right.
See, and I've got Charlottesville up. I love that. You put
Yeah,
Albemarle. I
cool,
pulled up Charlottesville
cool.
real quick.
So if we picked like a middle range of say between 400,000 and 800,000, just to pick a number here. Let's see what that works out to be. So there's 57 homes, no new construction, 32 days, medium days on market. So we're starting to creep up there on that end of it.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you seeing?
Well, just in the data that's in front of me, the Charlottesville area, when I'm searching for the days on market and I'm looking at the longest amount that's going to skew this data the most, right? There's a condo, actually there are 2, that have been on the market for over 1,200 days, right? So when we're picking that median and average, really, I think before we dive into next week, what I'd like to do is dig at some data really quick and be like, oh, let me take out some of the stuff is it relevant? Absolutely. But it's definitely skewing the data, and that makes it really challenging to have meaningful conversation around those numbers, right? But we obviously are seeing longer days on market. And truly, I think that's a good thing. I think the hardest part of that is for sellers to adjust, because for them, that feels very anxiety inducing, and it doesn't need to. And when you're talking to your sellers, you're prepping them, you're educating them, you're helping give them a better baseline.
Yona gives me
forward.
a script. I usually follow it.
Okay, so Keith is doing exactly what Yona told him to do, and that is awesome.
I do that all the time.
I support this 100%.
So,
questions coming in for Nikki.
Yeah, what's going on?
Grayson, welcome to the show, and he's confirmed it's North Downtown. Jerry asked the valuation question for Nikki, and let's see her answer.
Oh gosh, what are we talking about?
Valuations, are they dropping?
in North Downtown.
No, City of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia. He wants the whole car footprint.
You don't want it too much, right? You just want it all. I get it. I relate. I'm that way too. We're talking short-term, day-to-day, which is often what comes up on the show. And usually I take the standpoint of, hey, let's go back and look at the big picture where we're looking at 2005 on, right? So when we have this conversation, usually I go back and I go out into outer space to view what we're looking at and say, hey, overall, the market is doing what it needs to do. Are valuations dropping? I don't have that data in front of me, but in some places, probably. In some places, it's going to have to. One of the recent conversations, and I don't know if this was pre the last show or not, it might have even been on the show, where we were talking about how Nelson County is being impacted by the shift in a very different way than the other areas that we work in and talk about, right?
I think you were talking Buckingham County.
Well, no,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't
Buckingham.
here,
It was
but I've
Buckingham.
had the conversation
No, it
about
was
Nelson.
Buckingham. We had that
So,
conversation.
yeah, but what I'm saying is there was also, whether it was in the show or not, Nelson County's been talked about. On this show, I know we talked about Buckingham. And there's just a difference. So it depends on what we're talking about. We're talking about downtown Charlottesville. I don't see how they can keep going up and not go down at some point, even without looking at the data, right? So let's just pretend I know nothing. Let's just look at the last 2.5 years and think about where we are. They can't keep going up so much. And technically, someone could say, yes, they can. If you want to play devil's advocate, which this would be a really weird place for you to play devil's advocate, you could be like, well, of course they can, and here's why. But I don't know. I feel like we're taking this pause, we're taking this breath. Even for the prices that do go up, I think there will be properties that don't, because people are going to be like, oh, maybe I don't want that now, that there's not all the competition, that maybe they're thinking about living a little further out. Everybody's reevaluating what they're doing. Their priorities are shifting. The hot areas are still hot, but it's not like a year ago, right? So I think that even with just a shift in some areas of the market, it's going to impact the market as a whole. Was that a great non-answer or what? I mean, I think it's going to shift downward, but I'm also hesitant to actually say those words, because taken out of context, you can take that to mean whatever you want. If someone just tuned in 5 seconds ago, they're going to hear a very different thing than someone who just heard my whole spiel.
Yeah, so,
I'll be more direct here. I think the folks that bought at the peak of COVID are going to have a difficult time selling and recouping the money they put into a house over the next couple years.
Oh, God,
without a doubt.
And I think that's
They
what
shouldn't be
that's what
planning to
he's
sell
looking
them in
for.
it. Oh,
So
yeah.
correct. So if you bought in the last 2 years,
You're not going to be selling anytime soon and
You're gonna
walking
buy
away with money.
but now most people don't. An interesting situation. One of the contracts I'm working on this weekend, they were in the house for less than 2 years,
Yeah.
which is the seller, of which I'm representing the buyer on that, which is unusual on that end of it. And we had to have a very direct conversation with the listing agent about value and list price and where the market is today versus where they bought it at that particular point in time. So I think they priced it right. One of the things we're going to protect our client with is going to have to appraise at full contract value. That's how I'm going to protect our client in that end of it. But look, if you bought within the last 2 years, most people, a high percentage of them, will stay in that home between 5 and 10 years. I think you're going to start seeing people staying in homes much longer than 10 years at this point. So that percentages are going to catch up with you eventually.
The follow-up question is the investor who purchased during peak COVID. The investor who purchased during peak COVID is in a precarious position right now.
He or she better bought in cash.
Yeah,
or seller financing.
Well, why are they in a precarious situation, though? Are we talking about, because my thought is if you're holding a property.
But most do not.
Yeah, the investor
Why
flips.
do they not? Well, no, I mean, flippers flip.
Yeah,
But
a flipper's an investor.
I think over the last at least year, people have stepped back from, ooh, this is not the right market to buy to flip, except those people who are either really good at it or really have money to throw around and play with.
So what you'll start seeing, because I'm already seeing it, is folks that bought prior to COVID, the beginning of COVID, they're probably going to get rid of their homes, right? Cash out and move on. Then it becomes a whole 1031 exchange problem, which we can have a whole different show about, because that means they're going to have to buy something else or pay the tax on it. But to Nikki's point, we only own one, but we're going to buy and hold it for the long haul on that end of it.
Paul MacArthur not going up, Avenues Paul MacArthur not going up and not going down are not the only options. Most places seem to be flat in price in the car footprint.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, so Charlottesville, end of the third quarter, because I did all my own numbers here. Single-family detached, no new construction. City of Charlottesville, end of the third quarter, there was 100 units sold. Median sales price was $455. Same quarter In 21, there was 113, so there was 13 less units sold, but the value sold was 425, so you're up about 30 grand. But if you look at it month over month, a quarter over quarter, you lost money.
The concern about flat on price is rates have 2x'd.
So
Yes.
so it's interesting.
I mean, there's the meme circulating around social
No.
on the home valuations. I'll throw this as a talking point to you, and I'm calling it up as we speak.
Yeah.
Folks are sharing it in the feed also as we speak.
Awesome.
So while you do that, this conversation came up with the two millennial buyers that I was working on this weekend, right? Very fortunate they were able to put 20% down on both of them.
Wonderful.
And they said, look, we're just going to refinance in 2 years. That they already know they're going to refinance in 2 years. They just want to get out of the rental environment that they're in now
Yeah, that's smart.
and own, and they know that they follow the show actually, and they follow the news. They're pretty sharp buyers on that end of it, and they just know when recessions hit hard, because it's coming, interest rates generally go down, and so that's what their play is. They want to get in, but they've got the cash to go in, and they can carry whatever the monthly payment is up until the point that they can refinance.
The beautiful thing about this network, which is different than legacy media like radio and television and print, is as our social channels grow in size, which literally I Love Steveville channels are growing in size every day, the reach of the network grows in size.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know, it's not like a
absolutely.
transmitter or a TV station that
I
has a
literally
fixed audience.
was on a bike ride, riding with a group of guys, and they said, "I know your face from somewhere." And I said, "Yeah, I don't know your money, man. So we got to keep on going."
This is the meme, the housing market explained, 2021 versus 2022. $600,000 house at a 3% interest rate has a monthly payment of $2,024. A $590,000 house, we're saying the house went down $10K in value at a 7% interest rate, has $3,140 in monthly payment, which is roughly $1,100 more for a house that's $10,000 less in value.
I had a
Will you
conversation.
share that in the group?
Yeah,
Sweet.
happy to share it with you
Like,
guys.
right,
had a
easy. I'm a visual
convers-
person.
Conversation with, and the person wishes not to be named, but is an economist, and he or she was saying, probably in the beginning of next year, everybody's going to kind of get used to these interest rates. I'm not so sure if that's the case or not, but he or she was like, look, you're going to see this huge refi glut, probably 12 to 24 months runs from now with people just refinancing.
What do you think about that, Paul McCarter? I'm curious of your take on that. What are your thoughts on that, Nikki Chambliss?
So I just took a look while everybody was chatting,
Yeah.
maybe what was active in Charlottesville, all price points right now.
Uh-huh.
Interesting, 50 median days on market is 50. I don't remember seeing that in a long time.
And what do you make of that? That houses are getting a little sticky? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think what that means is we're getting closer to a buyer's market where that pendulum is moving somewhere maybe in the bottom and starting to go on this upward trend to get into it. We've been talking about it forever. When is it going to be a buyer's market? Other than the interest, right? And the buyer pool, I believe, is pretty deep.
Oh, definitely deep. Especially around these parts.
And there's enough buyers in the buyer pool that have enough capital to put a substantial down payment and carry that extra $1,000 a month for a period of time until they can refinance it on it. And we'll talk about this on Wednesday, but both of my buyers are looking at 10-1s.
Yeah. Well,
10
when's the
10-year
last time
arms?
We've had, yeah.
10-1s.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
And what's the savings they're getting on the points on the 10-1? 10-1, he's talking about an adjustable rate mortgage, 10 years at a lower rate, and then after 10 years, it fixed to market rate.
So they're
hoping to refinance before the 10 years hit.
Their credit is pretty darn good.
So what are they flirting with 800 credit?
Yeah, and they're mid-5s.
Mid-5s on the rate?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
damn good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic
Yeah,
for today's
that
market.
is.
So they're saving 2+ points.
Yeah. But
And they bought no points?
no.
Because that's the 10-1.
Yeah. No. This is straight up.
That's the
We're
arm.
not done yet, but that's kind of where we're leaning at the moment.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I felt that was a good good thing, 10 years from now, here's the downside to that. If they're, let's call them 5.5 for the instance, they're really going to have to drop about 1.5 to 2 points.
To justify a refi.
Yeah, to justify a refi.
Well, I mean, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah, both of these folks are professionals, couples of professionals. They know to make multiple payments. They're going to accelerate it down anyway. So, it's going to be a very different picture 10 years from now in their fiscal picture. And
What do you think about this, Nikki?
Well, I feel like when we're talking about like back to the meme, right? And that difference in payment, this is what we've been talking about. And maybe we did not do a good enough job, or maybe just the belief and understanding of how incredible that difference is hard to bite off, right? I don't know, but we've been talking about this now for honestly, to some degree, for the last 2.5 years of, hey, it can't always stay this way. The rates cannot keep going lower. And even more recently, in the last 3 to 6 months, we've been having these conversations. So this is the conversation that everyone I know who is talking about the economy side of this has been having with their buyers is, hey, the rates are going up. The difference this makes in what you can afford in a home, if you don't have a broad range that you can paint with that large stroke of a paintbrush, right, then you're going to have challenges finding a home.
I think the buyers that can financially afford this are jumping in the market big time right now.
That sounds very accurate, yes.
And that is why, that is why we're all busy. This particular buyer's coming in there. And what's happening, the both ends of the market, the upper end and the lower end of the market is kind of getting squeezed out, right? So the middle end of the market is where potential buyers are at, that they have the capital or have the fiscal wherewithal to do it.
Well,
They're also competing against
boomers and millennials competing for the same product. One thing I've noticed on the entry point of the market, in particular condos, and Paul, I'm going to get to your comment in a matter of seconds. I have the rental at the villas at Southern Ridge. I have not seen the villas at Southern Ridge, the condo complex off Old Lynchburg, more hot than it is now.
Yeah.
The price points are pushing people down, as are the interest rates with what they can afford. And this particular complex is on, there's 5 units in pending right now at the villas. Yeah. And these units are trading for $225. It's also
perfect.
$220.
It's also perfect.
There's nothing active right now there.
And if you've got one and you're not living in it, you're probably renting that out to students.
I'm renting it out to a family that's trying to buy it.
There you go.
And I said, no way, Jose.
Okay. I was like,
Lake Monticello,
but
21 homes for sale, median days on market 24, median price range 350. This is list. Minimum list is 350.
What do you make of that?
Lake Monticello has been climbing. It goes to my point where the sweet spot in the number is. Right.
There's one active at the villas. I stand corrected. 1508 Villa Way. Unit B is active at 229 ask.
How many bedrooms?
That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1130 square feet.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, there's literally one active. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pending.
What's the condo fees there?
Under $160 a month.
Wow.
which is amazing.
Fantastic. 10 minutes from University of Virginia. Fantastic school district, right next to the interstate and the bypass.
Got a pool.
A gym.
Yep.
Amenities, walking trails. Paul McCarter, people adapt and have short memories. Look how people get excited for $3 gas now. In a year, a 5.5%, 6% interest rate will feel like a deal.
Yes.
So that's literally the point that this economist was trying to make, he or she was trying to make, is that to do that. And to your point, we've been saying it on the network, on the show, don't get used to 2.5 or 3.5, because that's not normal. I honestly, one never knows, right? I think if it ever gets back down to that, I'm either going to be retired for a very long period of time or possibly not around.
If it gets back down to that, we may have Armageddon.
Well, but none of this is changing. Great, the inventory is creeping up, right? So, it is and it isn't, right? So A month ago, same week, we had 103 going on. This week, we have 80. I'm going to round numbers up a little bit. So we're 20 down, right? New active. But we're between the pending and between the 2 weeks, we got 56 the last week and 84 the other week. So we're kind of making up for the delta on the pendings, not eating up the actives. So actives are actually, inventory is actually increasing versus what's coming off on pending. And I think that's why you got people out. That is literally why the folks that I had this weekend was, hey, look, it's time is now. Inventory's picking up. We're going.
Very well said. And we should emphasize, and I'll throw it to you, we should emphasize that there are more people coming to the area with six-figure jobs in the very near future. I mean, there was an article in one of the tech publications that I follow, that I RSS, and it's Willow Tree. Willow Tree is looking to get folks that otherwise are going to the Valley, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and bringing them here with $150,000, $175,000, and $200,000 jobs.
And those jobs on the West Coast are going away.
Those jobs are coming here.
Yeah.
To Charlotte.
175, 150, 200 here. You're living pretty darn good. San Fran, you're not living so great.
So all the buyers I'm working with are exactly fit that model.
Oh, nice.
Explain that.
Well, they're not in healthcare, right? They're not in any other. They're in the tech business, and they're literally, that's what they're doing. Working from home, so internet's super important for them, high-speed internet. So that kind of narrowed our pool down a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted some acreage. Want to raise a family,
Oh, nice.
right? And wanted the classic white picket fence, single-family detached, a little bit of yard so the little Billy and Johnny can, or Jane or whatever, can run around.
Little Billy and little Johnny. The University of Virginia's cracking ground on its hotel, Nikki Chambliss.
Nice.
Its convention center. UVA just broke ground on this fantastic project. Where do you want to go on these topics, Nikki Chambliss?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we're a growing area. Whether you love it, hate it, or feel indifferent about it, we are growing. That is not something that will change. And we can either fight it or we can find a way to make it benefit everyone, right? And this is just another piece of that growth. I think it's wonderful. Again, there's always a good, bad, and the ugly conversation. But I'm going to be here to, I know I'm just going to throw that out every chance I can now, Keith. I think it's better to see where we're moving and go, oh, you know what? I want to be part of that instead of fighting something. I want to be part of it and make it the best it can be instead of digging my heels in. I don't know. That's just me.
So we're going to tackle on Friday because it's just going to be Batman and Robin.
Love it.
A little bit of ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit stuff. There was
nice.
Quentin Beckham shared an
wait to hear.
article. I'm going to talk a little bit about the national cohort that I'm part of and how this works and how this can help. But what you're
Nice.
talking about is increasing inventory. And you can't have that conversation without
Yes.
having the NIMBY conversation on that end of
That
it,
is
that
definitely
folks
part
are
of it.
going to fight that on the end of it. But you're 100% right. This hotel, and thank you for bringing that up, Jerry. This is huge. This is something we've lacked in our area for quite some time. Is a decent conference center,
Yeah, convention center.
convention center.
Yeah.
There we go. I was trying to figure out the word you said.
We do this as Keller Williams and Yes Realty Partners on regional stuff. We're always looking for places to go that can handle 100 to 200 people. And, there isn't that many spaces around Charlottesville that can handle that, which again, that's going to put a ton of pressure on hotels, which are already over a ton of pressure on it. It's going to bring a lot of people into our area, which is, people are going to stay.
$130.5 million project on the Ivy corridor, Emmett Street, Ivy Road. This is a pretty spectacular project, and I have to emphasize this. When you're building a $130.5 million project, convention center,
They got a plan.
hotel, you not only have a plan, but you're going to be hiring people to manage this plan. And these people that the University of Virginia is going to hire, 214 rooms, views of the rotunda, 25,000 square feet of convention and conference space for folks to choose from. You have six-figure jobs that are new to the area coming here to manage this property.
Absolutely.
Six-figure jobs.
So let's take that to a different perspective. Where is the $20 an hour service person that's going to be working there live? Now, in UVA's,
Not in Charlottesville or Albemarle County.
well, to give UVA credit, it is trying to do something with this 1,500 affordable housing units.
Yes.
I think we're a long way out before anything actually happens on that. I think that, I know that hotel will be built, done, finished long before anything is built, done, and finished as far as their housing projects are gonna go.
The affordable housing is a decade away. 8 to 10 years is the speculation. Neil's watching, he'll correct us on this. How long, Neil?
The two projects that are past the RFQ,
You're talking north of town
so there's.
and the Dirty Nellies area.
Correct. So one is over in Fontaine.
Right,
And
Dirty
the
Nellies area.
The other's right across, help me out, the hotel on West Main Street.
Residence Inn?
No, the Draftsman.
Okay.
Right across from the Draftsman it's a UVA parcel that's going to be, so those are two, they're going to be rentals on it. Look, you're 100% right. So what the process on that is pretty, and Neil will chime in, but the process is pretty simple. They have an RFQ, request for qualifications. They're going to go to an RFP now, which is proposals. Those are going to come in. They're going to sift through them. That's going to take months to get through it. They're going to pick a partner or two partners to go through it. And oh, by the way, it all has to get rezoned because it's all now owned by the foundation, UVA Foundation. So then it has to go through a rezoning process. And that could take quite a bit of time, years. Then they got to build it. So you're not too far off. I think conservatively about 6 years from now, 5 or 6 years from now, realistically probably closer to 6 to 8 years.
Neil, per staff report, under Seville current ordinance, UVA Conference Center will not pay TOT tax,
Oh,
transient occupancy tax. Do you think current city council will change this measure?
Is that parcel actually in the city or is it in Albemarle County?
Good question for
I
Neil.
think that's in Albemarle County.
You're talking about the conference center? That's
Yeah.
definitely Albemarle County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Emmett Street, Ivy Quarter, that's
a weird, the line gets really weird there on where it is.
I don't think city council is going to make them pay taxes here. Has city council,
But I think it's in Albemarle though.
has city council held them accountable? I mean, the speculation was the payment in lieu of taxes that Michael Payne proposed. I haven't seen any movement on that, have you?
Yeah, so let's assume, well, it doesn't really matter which jurisdiction's in. Let's just call it Albemarle County because that's where I think it is. They're going to pay property taxes on it because it's the foundation that owns it, not the university. They will pay property tax on it, right? And I can't believe that they won't pay room tax or hotel fees on it because it's owned by the foundation. It's not owned by the university.
He's going to chime in here. Nikki,
Yeah.
your thoughts on any of this?
So I'm not sure because I'm like, well, I don't know what they are. The foundation is a nonprofit, right? And I don't know how that relates to what taxes are required or what exemptions exist.
So
This
the
is an area that I am not quite as knowledgeable in.
So the simple version of that is the University of Virginia is a state institution, right? So therefore it doesn't pay taxes.
Yes.
The foundation pays taxes, right, on property taxes and so forth and so on.
Yes.
So regardless if it's for-profit or non-profit, so
But the
land
business
trust,
side-
the land trust, for instance, pays property taxes.
But a
and stuff like
nonprofit
that.
does have a lot of exemptions as in a
Yeah,
general
that's a
rule.
federal level. It's not a local,
Okay,
not on the
so
local.
not on a local level?
Not on a local level.
Okay.
Property taxes, yes, Neil says, but there is a cutout for educational housing under city code. This is on the city agenda.
But,
says.
Okay.
but Neil, is that parcel in the county or in the city?
TOT cutout, he said. He's typing in and offering perspective. Neil's the president of the Free Enterprise Forum and making the show better as we speak. Susan
always.
Clancy giving you props. Nicholas Erpy on the show. Nicholas Erpy and Keith Smith will be doing Today y Mañana, the two of them, on Thursday at 10:15 a.m. on this I Love Seville network. I'm excited for that.
I'm
Nice.
excited. I'm excited for that. Nick, I got to call you because we got to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Nick, you're going to get a phone call from Keith Smith here
We got to talk
after
about
this
what we're
show.
going to talk about. Does that make sense?
That
Okay.
makes sense.
That makes
I'm
sense.
here for it.
It's Thursday.
It made
You're on
sense to me.
Thursday, aren't you?
I'd have to look at my calendar.
Thursday
If
at
you
10:15.
If you tell me, I believe you.
You're on Thursday at 10:15.
I
John
believe
Blair,
it.
welcome to the show. We love you, JB. John Blair, who's watching in Stanton right there.
I just a shout out to Stanton. I did that bike race out of Stanton. It was 100 kilometers. Was absolutely well put together. It was organized well. It was absolutely gorgeous. hats off to those. Those guys put an excellent race together.
Stacy's watching the program, and she says, you guys have emphasized this often on the show, Jerry and Keith, but please ask Nikki this question. You've said that the real estate tax rate's going to increase next year, and after seeing the retail sales tax projections from Mr. Williamson's Free Enterprise Forum. Wow, Neil, you're getting a shout out from the viewers and listeners here. I would bet that you are right.
Sir Neil Williamson.
I would bet you're right, Jerry. Nikki's take on the real estate tax rate increases next year.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I think we all probably saw this coming. I think as a general rule, when we talk about that real estate sales tax increase, everyone's like, and money has to come from somewhere. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, because usually I lean more toward the and I talk about the people that it's going to impact. And I think that instead of basing those increases on the people that it's going to impact most, we just need to have things in place to help the people that it does impact most be able to handle it. And there are some things, there's just not enough, right? So I'm not surprised by it. I'm sure it's needed from a government standpoint, from a, hey, we have to pay for all of these things, the roads, we have more people, I don't know what taxes go to directly. Again, this is an area where I'm like, I need to know more, and I'm going to focus on the real estate more.
You're doing good.
Right? So to me, I'm like, yeah, it's probably needed. I'm not a fan for paying more out of my personal budget, or anyone paying more out of their personal budget than they have to, right? I think that's a really, if I can keep as much of my money, I think I'm going to do really well with that. And I want our city and counties to function well. So there has to be a balance and a give and take there. Maybe there are better ways to do that in the future. And that's part of going back to earlier, where I'm like, hey, we are changing, we are growing. Let's be part of making that great and be what we want it to be, and work well and be very future minded, while also enjoying the wonderful city we have now. So to me, that all ties in together.
So, good. Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward approach on it. Look, most folks do not know this, but county budgets are from June to June, right? June to July.
That's right. I've heard you say that before. Yes.
They don't go like our budgets
Yeah.
from January to January and all that stuff. So they already have their budgets set to mid-2023. So this is really a 2023-2024 environment, and Jerry's 100% right. What we're going to be, in my opinion, in the throes of a recession middle of next year. I happen to think we're in one right now, but we're going to really be in one where everybody's going to say we're in one. And that's going to put a bunch of pressure, to Jerry's point, on budgets. Budgets are going to start climbing, right? And then,
They have to, like, with the Fed moving rates, everything's going to be more expensive. Construction, people are asking for raises, so the budget's going to have to get increased. People are spending less at restaurants and less at shops. That means the jurisdiction has less money to use. So if they have to find new sources of revenue, Charlottesville in particular is pretty fixed with what it can do with real estate. It's not like we can construct more real estate in a 10.2 square mile landlocked city. So they're going to raise the real estate tax rate. As they raise the real estate tax rate, the real estate's going to be more expensive to own.
And then you have nonprofits like the Land Trust. I'm knocking on their door already for money for that budget cycle, right?
Yeah.
To help people, because
Just gave a 12% raise to transportation.
Yeah.
Charlottesville Albemarle Transport just got a 12% raise.
So Neil will,
Teachers are looking for raises.
Neil will
And that's
correct.
all needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's needed, but
But where does it come from?
Well, I mean, it's going to come from people that own houses.
Again, it pushes not necessarily the upper end of it out, but it'll definitely puts a lot of pressure on the lower end. So, which, as you guys were speaking, Jerry, we're going to put on our November, December agendas for one of our shows to make sure people understand long before they get their tax bill.
That's a great idea.
What their options are. I'm talking about their
Nice.
real estate
Yes.
property, because the window is so freaking narrow from the time that they receive it that they can contest it. So at least we can help them as agents to contest it. And I generally get phone calls every year around that time of the year to say, hey, my house just went up $150,000. Is that true? Right. So there's a portion of it that you can contest, or you can.
Yeah.
There's a tax abatement program. You have to fill out a tax abatement application, which you can find online. Structures must be at least 25 years old. Total assessments cannot exceed $506,000.
Depends on the jurisdiction, though. Each jurisdiction is a little bit different.
City of Charlottesville, those are the criteria.
Yep.
Google it. You got to get ahead of this now, because a lot of folks were surprised when this hit. And to your point, the window is narrow.
Oh, my God. It's like 30 days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You only have about 30 days to appeal. That's the word I'm looking for. To appeal, you can't appeal the budget. You can't appeal the rate. What you can do is you can show up to budget meetings or support Neil and Sean to show
I mean,
up.
Woody Fincham, who's watching right now, I was a former assistant Almora assessor. I mean,
Yeah, I get it.
this
yeah.
guy's like
I didn't realize that.
the man.
I know. I was like, ooh.
He makes
bring
me
that
bow.
up next
He makes me
week,
bow in
too.
front of him. I don't understand why.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Woody, you are a smart dude. I'm responding to that. You are a smart dude. So he knows what's up.
Yeah. So it's the question I was going to toss out to Woody or to Neil. You know, I keep a very good eye on this. They probably more than I do on it. But I don't remember a lot of budgets going backwards. Now I will tell you, last year Fulvana actually went down a little bit.
Nelson's was flat.
Yeah, Nelson's a very unique environment because they losing students instead of gaining students, which is becoming a whole different animal. And
Interesting.
But their boomer population is increasing.
New construction, Nikki Chambliss. That's come on the feed here. Your
Oh,
take
dear.
on what you're seeing from new construction in this market.
Okay, sorry, my brain had to shift which direction to go with that one because I could go so many places. There's just not enough of it, and it's expensive to build, and we don't have enough workers to build, and truly, it's a lot of challenges, and it's needed. Honestly, I think the companies that are here, that are local, that are building things, are doing the best they can, and especially those local businesses that we know and love. They're doing good work, and they really are trying to continue to have products that keep them in business and also give consumers really good quality housing, right? And that is wonderful. I think some of the struggle that's been going on in the last couple of years is that the need is high. Things have been expensive, workers are short, and so some of the products that are coming out are, we're just trying really hard to make them better quality, and by we, I mean the community, and sometimes that's not happening at the level we really would like it to be. Of course, everything meets code because they have processes for that. And personally, code is not quite enough for what I want in a construction, right? And this speaks to an area that you are quite the expert in. I don't know the code well, and I'm glad it's there. To me, it gives a baseline. But most builders don't just build as that being the final say of, hey, this is code. It got the sticker of approval.
You talking about building code?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, you hear stories here or there where it's like, oh, obviously they were in a rush job for that, and this is not great, and it's my house, and I'll figure it out later.
As a rule, in our area, most builders build above the minimum,
Yes.
the minimum code.
That's
But
where I was trying to stay.
I just took a look at active new construction, Albemarle County. There's only 19
Yes.
available at the moment, and that's ranging from a list from a low of 575 up to a high of 2.5 million.
You're in MLS, right?
I'm in MLS.
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
Are they all in there as a general?
No.
Okay,
It
see, that's what I was
depends on
gonna
the
say.
depends on the subdivision on that so much. But an interesting, as you were chatting, I was just looking at the difference that there are way more attached product than detached product.
A lot of those north of town.
Yes.
24.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I think and we need more houses, and we only have so much land, so
It's
to
not
do
that much lower. It's starting at 369, and
Is that north of town?
I have to look into it here for a second. But
Yeah.
probably north of town, and high is
That's North Point, isn't it?
460. Yep, hang on one second. I will tell you because I got a map here. That
I mean,
can
it's
look.
Nice.
a reflection of the dirt being so expensive.
Yes.
Is what you're
part
seeing
of,
there.
part of the problem with the MLS with new construction, and I've said this before on the show, it doesn't segregate the difference between townhomes and duplexes or villas. The villas
good
are
point.
way up there in price. I can't segregate out townhomes, but you're 100% right. The cheaper or the more cost-effective units are north of town. There's up over by the airport. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now.
What do you make of that, Nikki?
Well, I think that gets us more houses. I think that people are having to, and whether they're realizing it, whether it's a very conscious choice or whether it's just out of necessity and default, people are shifting what they are good with in their housing. someone who moved to the area 5 years ago and had plans of buying a detached with, quarter-acre lot in town may have shifted to, you know what, I really love this attached home with this really cool rooftop kitchen and beautiful views. It just may be that thing that's happening, and it has to happen for people to be able to find housing in the area they want.
Sold last 30 days, attached, new construction, that doesn't have existing homes. Only 15 attached sold. This is actually closed in the last 30 days. The days on market are 0, but that's not the way new construction works. Median sales price was $463. Now again, this takes into consideration actual attached townhomes and duplexes on that end of it.
Amy Hughes, welcome to the show.
Hey.
The associate broker of Avenue, watching the program.
Yeah.
Amy, I hope you're doing well. Concerns.
Oh,
Go ahead.
congratulations on her associate broker licensing too.
Yeah, associate
She took her
broker of
class
Avenue.
this year.
Yeah. I've known her when she was an executive with Comcast. What was that, 10, 15 years ago, Amy? You're crushing it. Congratulations on your success. Your concerns on softness in the market is coming on the feed, Nikki.
Tell me more. I'm making notes of some things.
Which
while you tell me
aspects of the
more.
market do you think are softening?
Compared to
Well,
this time last year, maybe.
yeah, I'm thinking. Sorry, my brain isn't shifting quickly because the first thought is some of the outlying areas, right? Like we talked about the Nelson and Buckingham. If we're speaking areas, if we're talking about type of housing, I don't know for sure, but I've been wondering. This has been marinating in the back of my mind. I'm wondering how some of those homes. We have a few, at least, in the city of Charlottesville, and definitely some in the surrounding areas. The homes that need the fixing up, the ones that 5 years ago would have been a great flip, but right now, unless you have your own crew, and even with your own crew, things are more expensive. Like, I'm wondering if that's going to go the way that 5 years ago I would have been like, yeah, those should be flying off the shelf, invest. But we're just in a different kind of market. So if a property is in disrepair, are people viewing it as the same opportunity that they once did and in the future will again, right?
So, not that this weekend was indicative of the overall market, but it was interesting because the two buyers that I was helping this weekend on it, they did not want to buy something that they had to put, a little coat of paint or something like that. That's one thing, but to do substantial amount of renovation got taken right off of their list.
Absolutely.
Immediately off their list. So ultimately, we're ending putting offers on homes that are meeting right location, price, features, and conditions.
Yes.
In that, but that was a very clear conversation we had. We walked in, and if it needed a bunch of work, it got taken off the list very quickly.
And I think the feeling overall that I've had is that that's happening a lot, and I'm going to dig a little deeper into that before next week because I think you're right. I think while we don't know for sure that that's indicative, I think it might be. I think that might be the general place people are leaning.
So let's just say what it is. The pendulum is starting to move towards the buyers, right? Away from the sellers. I'll say it. It's moving away from the sellers a little bit towards the buyer. It matters on the right location, which side of the street, yada, yada, yada. The reason I'm bringing it up right now, to Jerry's point, as he said earlier, it is so important to price it right now.
Oh, so much.
That it's also important to bring ISC or Pearl or any of these folks in there and get this right. Get the home, what we would call show ready.
Yes.
In the home, because that's going to make an impact on the buyers, because to Jerry's point, they're spending $1,000 a month extra, or whatever they're paying extra. They don't have the capital typically to put in it. And the other thing is they don't necessarily want to put a lot of money into it and price themselves out of the market.
No, you don't want to do that. And you're right. And what is show ready? What is having that home ready to list within the constraints of what a person needs to work with, and being able to best manage that is really, really important.
Well, that's why you need a trusted advisor.
Absolutely. The trusted advisor who really understands what the market is, where it's going, and how to best help.
Candace F. Cox says,
Hey.
Great info, and thank you guys for watching the show. You guys got Nest, obviously Keller Williams, multiple folks at Avenue, multiple folks at Long and Foster, multiple folks at Real Estate 3. all watching the show as we speak right now.
We love our real estate community.
So
It really is
let's-
special.
Let's throw a question out to the folks that are watching, right? Right, we've been talking about what we think is the market transitioning. I wonder what our fellow real estate agents and professionals are seeing out there, if they can chime
Two
in.
home inspectors. You got an appraiser watching the program right here. Photographer, a good one. Want to give him some props?
Probably the best
Yeah.
out there. Mr. Harrop is out there watching us and makes a difference. Back to having it show ready. Again, I just spent a lot of time this weekend with these two buyers, and one of their, back to the photography and how important it is, one of their things was if the pictures did not represent what's there on the ground, it got taken off. We turned around and walked out within 5 to 7
Yes.
seconds. Folks,
Not wasting time. That's
they
smart.
go ahead and do that. So it's important to hire a good photographer and represent the home correctly.
You know what? And I love the times where the bad photography has been such a benefit to my buyers, and they pass through, like they've got my app, right, that's branded to me, and they're looking at all these houses and going, ooh, not that one, not that one. And I'm like, oh, wait, actually, so I've seen these homes, these pictures do not represent it. Or even if I haven't, a lot of times you can look and go, you know, these pictures may not represent this home. Maybe let's add this to the list and take a look and see what it really looks like. And if it doesn't, if these pictures don't represent it, you might be finding a great deal is a stretch of the word. I don't want to say that and misrepresent the situation, but you might find a gem that is being misrepresented by bad photography,
The
right?
term deal is subjective. What's
It
important?
totally is, yes. So there's so much to be had there, and having good photography is so important.
Kelsey
I'm-
says, is there a portion of the Central Virginia market that you guys like for folks looking for a first-time home buyer like our family?
It depends.
If she's comfortable, a price range, because that will
Yeah.
make a difference
It really does.
on the where. And I'm assuming single-family detached is what they're probably looking for. So depending on the price range, that's the reason I watch Lake Monticello so much,
Yeah.
right? But if they're not interested in a homeowners association of some sort, it narrows the list down substantially, right? Because some, like these two buyers that I was working with, did not want to have anything to do with an HOA, right?
Up to
Yeah.
450,000.
Yeah.
And we're looking anywhere.
Anywhere.
Payment is our number one focus point with interest rates where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So depending on what they're trying to hit, we might want to walk that number back.
My
a little.
husband works at the University of Virginia, but we understand we may have to drive. I'm able to work from home, and we have 2 kids.
Got it.
Okay, so what kind of internet does she need? What kind of quality of life? What kind of things are they hoping the kids to be involved in the next 7 to 10 years, right? Because that's how long you want to plan to be in that home.
You got, Kelsey, a handful of homes to Keefe's Point, under 400K at the Lake Monticello as we speak.
That's assuming they want a homeowners association.
It seemed like she was okay with that, though.
We raised our children there, and it was great because there was pool and the lake and so
It's
forth.
a really
and
neat community, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Woody responds to Kelsey saying Louisa and Augusta will be the best spots for more affordable options for
Yeah.
Kelsey. Thank you, Woody, for chiming in.
So I would agree with Woody. Again, if you want a little bit of land around you, the other side of the mountain is probably the best. Greene County, we've been talking about this rubber band kind of changing from a big circle to somewhat of a pear shape, which is including Nelson, Fluvanna, Louisa, Greene County, and then poking up to where I was this weekend, which is Augusta County in that end of it. So that's where that pear shape is. So again, to Nikki's point, probably the first question we want to answer is a little bit about lifestyle, how they want to live. And that might fit us into a better picture. If it's pure dollar amount, I probably would be looking at something a little less than the number that she was tossing out to keep that monthly payment a little bit where I think they may want to be at with the potential of refinancing out. So that's Greene, the other side of the hill. Nelson is kind of expensive, right? Nelson is in the 4 and the 5 range, but that'll work. on the end of it, and then the lake, of course.
She says, my husband understands he's going to have to drive even up to half an hour to get to work. He's fine with that. We're looking for a backyard for our kids, which is important. And we understand that the market is changing, and we think the market could potentially become more expensive next year. Do you agree with that take?
Wow.
Is the market going to be more expensive next year?
The answer is yes, but not, depends on the where, right? I think you're going to see some markets, we talked about possibly Buckingham. There's going to be some of the outer lying markets that might recede a little bit in value, but where you want to be within that half an hour drive, I think this area will grow in like a single digits, kind of low single digits percentages year over year. The days of the 20%, 12%, whatever the heck they were, I think is gone for a while.
Could be more expensive if the rates keep going up.
Well, I'm
Which I think
assuming
we
more
are.
expensive was the purchase price, so maybe I made a wrong assumption there.
I think she means monthly payment.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the answer to that is,
Yeah, I mean, if she's
I mean,
driving
yes to all, right?
if she's driving half an
That-
hour and the rates go up, and then they also have the fuel going up, that means that
yeah,
monthly budget's
got
going
it,
to be
got
more
it, got
expensive.
it. I assume we were talking about purchasing. Yeah, so, if we follow what Marvelous Scott Morris says on it, and a conversation I had with Woody again yesterday, he attended a couple of sessions where some economists were there. They're all kind of predicting the interest rates dropping the end of next year. To what, God only knows.
How do you think rates are going to go over between now and, say, the spring market?
I think we're gonna be touching 8% by the end of the year. I think, and again, it really depends on if the government says, "Oh, we're in an official recession," right? And whatever the thumb that they're putting on the scale actually works, and inflation starts dropping down a little bit, you could possibly see that rate change to mid through next year on that end of it. But if that's what we're talking about, and if the houses are going to get more expensive, it's just going to be purchasing. It's just going to be a lower percentage year over year. And the math, you just have to make the math work, right, for you and your family. And maybe the answer is to buy now before we start going up this 1% or 2% or 3% and just refinance in a year or a year and a half or 2 years.
Well, to get back to her thing of it might be more expensive, more specific, like the smaller picture here. Honestly, Kelsey, that's your best take in any situation. You want to just assume that things will be more expensive. And I get that sounds like common sense, but I think it's always smart to just say it again out loud. Sometimes it's good to hear yourself say it again. Hey, let's work within a certain budget. Let's assume things are going to become more expensive. And if it doesn't, that's awesome. That's great. You've got some padding. You've got some money you can save for a bonus vacation or for that investment property or whatever it is. But when you're just looking at that personal budget, just assume it's going to be more expensive. And if you're wrong, you're safe, because if you go the other way and you don't assume it's going to be more expensive and it is, you're screwed, and nobody wants that.
So I would, and I'm sure they've done this already, but reach out to Scott, try to run some numbers, see what's available.
Have you gotten pre-qual, Kelsey?
And that's always the first step, right? And look at what that looks like.
Potential client dangling on the hook right
Yeah,
here.
well, we want the best for them. So whatever the best for
Yes.
them is what we want. But I start looking at that. Again, I think you're starting to see an influx of buyers in the market.
Woody Fitcham says, I wouldn't be surprised to see soft nines for a bit with the rate.
There was a dear friend of mine who.
Man, that would have an impact on things. A 9%
I do not have my cheat sheet with me, but I can't remember the last time it was in nines. It had to have been, God, sometime after we bought in 87, because it was 18 and it started dropping a little bit at that point.
They have gotten pre-qualified, Kelsey and her family.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
So they are ready to rock and roll here.
Yeah, so what, and I'm sure she's doing this. I always suggest, and I'm making a plug for Realtor.com. I'll say it. I prefer it over Zillow or some of the other search engines. It's a great way to take a look at it. They connects directly to our MLS, so as homes come on and off the market or change, you get notifications within seconds of that. Sometimes that works on Zillow, sometimes it doesn't.
true.
but it's directly connected into our MLS. So I would start looking at that, and then hire a trusted advisor to help you out.
Do you want to add to that? And then I got more comments from
No,
her here on the feed.
I think she's doing everything she's supposed to be doing, and it's just a
I
matter.
mean, the fact that she's pre-qual beforehand is fantastic.
It's
It's now a must.
and it's amazing how sometimes you have the initial conversation. So are you pre-qualified? I just want to look for it. No, we need to go through that process first, because what we don't want to do
It's
is
waste time.
No, what I don't want you to do is fall in love with something and find out you can't buy it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the real, emotional portion of it. So, find out what you qualify for.
You're getting what
Yeah.
you want with the case study here for Keith.
Well, yeah.
Does he think the Lake Monticello, she says, will hold values, or is he nervous, as he said on previous shows, that the values have flattened or even dropped at Lake Monticello? He highlighted last week on the program how there was an extended period of time of the houses not appreciating and even dropping in value.
Well, that was the time of great unpleasantness, but I may have,
She listens to the show.
I know that, but I thought I said, because I don't have them with me, Lake Monticello was the only one that appreciated quarter over quarter. Fluvanna, the county, decreased quarter over quarter.
That's good news for
yeah.
you there, Kelsey.
Yeah, so there you go, I missed the table. Lake Monticello, that's what happens when you put bourbon in your coffee.
You're about to close the deal here.
Yeah, so Lake Monticello was the only research that I did, and that was I think 2 or 3 Mondays ago we did that actually appreciated over by over. And I actually have the slides on my computer, so
Nice.
I will give them.
Do you want me to talk while you look it up?
Sure, please do.
Okay, because I was going to say, just for the general consumers out there, I think that whole pre-qual part is very important. And at the point you're really going to start actively looking at homes, your realtor is probably going to tell you this, and that's really wonderful. But bump that up to a pre-approval. And then also, especially when we're having rates potentially increasing, at points where we're, checking day to day to see what things are, right? You want to make sure you're in great communication with your lender. And you want to make sure you have an idea of, okay, if this rate increases, what does that look like for what I want to pay for a home? Because that makes it, like the meme you talked about earlier, that makes a big difference in your payment. And going back to Kelsey's conversation around that budget and things becoming more expensive, you want to make sure you know what your range is based on the interest rate, so that when you're looking at homes, you can make those decisions when you need to, and just be able to get that home. I don't know if your slides are up yet.
I'm
or
good.
You want me to
I'm
pause?
good. No, go ahead.
All right. I just was like, oh.
The
pass it back
last
to you.
time there was 9%. Neil just shared the 30-year mortgage chart. You know when that was, guys?
Thank you, Neil.
When do you think that was? What do you think, Nikki? When do you think
Dude,
that
I
was?
have no concept, honestly, because I've been in for that whole 6 years time frame. Like, I hear people talk about 18%, and that feels very much like going up the mountain to school, and I'm making it a mountain, not a hill, and snow both ways. That's how those high
Why, you
rates
didn't
feel
do that?
to me. No, I was in Florida. It didn't snow. If it got below 50, I was freezing.
So
Keith, what's your guess?
I want to say early 90s, but I may be way off
Boom.
base.
There you go.
Oh,
91.
nice.
Yeah.
Nicely
Yeah.
done.
I think early 90s.
I was
Very
even
nicely
in
done.
high
Look at that.
school
Smith
then, I'm
can
just
remember
saying.
something. Every
That was
once in a while.
nice. 9.25% the last time. 1991. 1990.
And I'm not cheating, by the way.
I know
that.
you're not. I know you're not. I mean, this would be hard to find. 1990, 10.13%.
Yeah.
89, 10.3. 88, 10.34.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
we're
had,
down
to your point, Keith, 81, 82, 16 and change.
So
Yeah.
we were at 18% in 86, 87.
86, the average on the 30-year was 10 and change.
But the reason we were so high, we were young,
Yeah.
right? I owned our own business. We didn't have a job for 2
You were
years.
self-employed. Did you have
Self-
credit?
Nah,
Right? Right?
right?
Well, and was it needed, though, to buy a house?
No, it was needed.
I don't
back
know.
then.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
it was needed, but we were just newly married, right out of the Marine Corps with a little baby, all that
yes.
stuff. Our credit was not what it is today.
Yeah.
Neil, Woody says to Kelsey and to Keith, so we got the case study that you wanted. Happened a little later in the show, but you got the case study that you wanted here.
Yeah.
We
Thanks,
can
Kelsey.
we can
You're
tackle
the
it on Wednesday.
Woody says Lake Monticello, had a lot of bad ones when the recession happened. Many bad loans were made.
Sure.
The foreclosures hurt the lake big time.
Yep.
Loans are tighter this time around. It would take a major economic crash to change that. Lake Monticello is a strong and solid market right now, Kelsey.
So I'll add numbers to it because I pulled up the slides from whatever show we did that. So this is Fulvana County, single-family detached, 2022, quarter over quarter. So I started first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. This is no new construction and excludes Lake Monticello. So first quarter, the median sales price was $345. Second quarter was $354. This is Fulvana County. Third quarter, ending of the third quarter, median sales price was $375. So it went down by negative $21,000 from second to third quarter. Lake Monticello, on the other hand, same data, 2022, quarter over quarter, beginning of the year. First quarter was 305, second was 302, third quarter was 335. So Lake Monticello, between second and third quarter, went up $13,000 on that end.
That's
of it.
good knowledge, Keith Smith.
So Lake Monticello is gaining in value. The reality of it is it's built out. There's no more new houses going to be added in Lake Monticello. It's the price point
that she's looking for.
That makes sense on that end of it. And then it's just like anything else then. Then you have to find something that checks the rest of the boxes, right?
I mean, with 2 kids, you're probably looking for potentially a 4-bedroom. There's a ton of 3-bedrooms. I'm looking at the MLS right now. You got a gorgeous 4-bedroom on a road, Riverside Drive.
I know, and I've been there since '87.
Yeah, 23.
But it's really funny about and Woody I don't know how long Woody's lived there.
2,300 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2.5 bath, asking $370 right now.
But I've been there. I built 600 houses around that area, and including that, and been there since '87. There's roads I've never been on. So.
Did you name them?
I did not name them. I named my subdivision roads, though.
This
There's
particular
a story
house
behind that.
is gorgeous.
That needs to happen sometime.
And it's empty. The seller has clearly moved out of the house, which tells me you have some negotiation potential. It's getting a little long in the tooth, approaching 30 days on market over here. 19 Riverside Drive, Kelsey.
So that's
not long
outside
in
the
tooth,
gates.
though.
A lot of people like that.
It depends. Some people don't. So if there is, it's outside of the gates, which means there's easy access in and out. You don't have to call guests in and out to come, but in order to get to the amenities, you've got to go through a gate to get there, right? So Riverside, there's a Riverside gate. You just pop out of that, go right into Jefferson Drive, and actually you're close to the marina and the main beach over that way.
I love it. Backyard, fenced in. Forest can't get out.
Jerry, you want a house?
I'm good where I am. I'm just trying to help her get something.
I'm in for your next investment. I'm just saying.
Reference my dog?
Yeah. Forrest likes to scoot on out of the. Has he gotten out
I just
yet?
thought he meant
No, but I have my philosophy on solving that's very different than Jonas. I overfeed him so he gets a little chubby.
So he can't jump. Woody's been there 5 years, Keith.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I
what,
mean
at Lake Monticello?
At Lake Monticello,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, nice. That's the first place I lived.
So that
in
price
Virginia
point
here.
you're looking at, there's quite a few. There's about a half a dozen.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
Yeah, that are yeah.
Some of them are new construction.
No, I took
took
all
new
those.
out?
I took all those out. On that end of it.
You're a big fan of that one too. Candace says, I love Lake Monticello, and thank you, Keith, for this information.
Yeah. Good luck. If we can help in any way, please reach out.
There you go. Nikki, what are your thoughts on 11:30? Fantastic
I know.
program.
Which things? All the things.
How about some guidance and some thoughts to everybody that's watching?
Oh gosh. Okay. So one of the things that I would like to share, because it's come up in conversation several times in the last week, is be really careful to not take news about the broader picture as to be accurate for our area. We talk about this quite often on the show. When you're looking at these markets and what's happening in real estate, you really want to zoom in on what's happening in our area if you're looking to buy a house or wanting to know what's happening for us. Is the bigger picture conversation important? Absolutely, but it's not necessarily a reflection of what we're experiencing here. So I've had a lot of those conversations with agents in the last week of, hey, my clients are concerned about this, this, and this, and learning how to be able to better help these customers and clients out there. Realize that our market is different. And if you want to know some of those things, keep watching the show, watch some of the past shows for sure. ask somebody, talk to
Reach
a
out to a
realtor,
trusted
right?
advisor.
Definitely have that trusted advisor.
It's like politics, right? Jerry, what's politics? All politics is local.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I don't know where this is going,
Yeah.
but I'm here for it.
All politics is local, and that local matters. And
Yes.
we've coined the term hyper-local markets. So one side of the street to the other side. We just talked about Lake Monticello for a while, right? Some parts of Lake Monticello are valued a little different than the other side, but it's 4,500 lots. Some sections are priced a little bit different than others on that end of it, so knowing the where is very important.
Waterfront versus not,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
Sure.
I love it. What do you got planned for Wednesday?
More of this. It's just
Yeah?
us at the moment. And,
Fantastic.
please,
Love those shows.
Yeah, please, case studies, guys. Please chime in. We love doing this.
Absolutely.
Just seeing what we can do to help people. So please send them out.
Throw the, and if you want to do them in advance, DMs are open, the emails are open, the messages are open. We will respect your anonymity. If you want to keep it on the DL, you have an opportunity to have professionals literally give you consultation that's pro bono, which I think goes a long way. Woody Fincham is going to be on the show a week from today at Fincham
looking forward to that.
Associates,
Looking forward to that.
which is big time. Woody Fincham is A+ people. Maybe you touch base with Scott? To be determined?
It's TBD.
Okay.
That's a phone call today.
Got it. So questions, comments are welcome. Judah Wickower is our director. You did a great job. Nikki Chambliss.
Thank you. It's always great to
Thank
be
you for
here.
having us. Keith Smith. This is Real Talk with Keith Smith, presented by Keller Williams Alliance and Yes Realty Partners. Find it online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. The I Love Seville show is up in 54 minutes, and you're not going to want to miss this one, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody.
Love to tease.
Very nicely done.
Awesome. Thank you guys. This was great. I'm sorry if I was looking down too much, but I had notes to take while y'all